What's good? What's good? So today is May 26, 2024. Yo, what's good? Yeah, so we're gonna have a good stream today, man. I'm actually really excited to get a hold of some of the stuff that's finally come across my desk. And mainly what I'm talking about here is Pulsechain. So Pulsechain, PulseX, incentive token, also PHEX, all of those have been listed on the TradingView. So now we can use all the Vulture Crypto tools and do all the stuff to help us get our DCAs in and just everything that we would really want. We now have from the Pulsechain ecosystem. Usability is the first thing, but now we can actually really chart this thing in a beautiful way for the next 10 years. It's going to be great. So hope y'all are doing well. We got an action-packed stream today. I really appreciate those that have come early. Who we got? So first in the chat, Fast Abdul, victory is mine. And yes, it is today. But is that going to be the case in the next stream? We're going to find out who else we got in the chat. Let's go. Henry R. just barely missed it. But yeah, you already know what it is, man. The early bird catches the worm. One thing that always helps me when I want to watch content is go ahead and put that notification bell on for that person that you want to watch. So in this case, if y'all want to watch this content and you want to know exactly when it's coming out, notification bell. So yes, sir. Who else we got? And you already know we got to get that alpha coming today. I have some new sites that have information that are going to help you guys. And I really love to do it. Like a lot of people tell me all the time, you give away too much for free. I really don't mind it because it's really about, okay, you can have the tool, but it's about if you use it correctly, right? So for example, a knife. A knife is a tool that could either slice open something that you don't want to slice open, or you can use it to cook, right? So depending on how you use the tool, that's the key. And I'm all about trying to spread knowledge and help you guys acquire the tool sets that you're going to need to be able to become a investor, not just here for today or tomorrow, but for the rest of your lifetime until you are like, man, I've accumulated so many assets. Now my life is what I want it to look like, So until you get there, it's all about accumulation, baby. So with that being said, what else we got? Let's go. We got more in the chat. Everybody's piling in. And this is key. Diamond hands will get you to the moon. You've got to be able to face some type of adversity. And here's the thing. If there's no trial, if there's just all bliss, it's going to be hard to get to that successful mountaintop. Like, you got to go through the struggle to get to the triumph. And this is what the Pulsechain ecosystem kind of looks like. But what I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you some comparisons, some reference points to let you understand and see that this is nothing out of the ordinary. Like, to see something just trend sideways to down for a span of 3 months, 4 months is really not that long of a time in crypto. Like, think about it. In 2023, Bitcoin came off its lows. Think about it. Bitcoin came off its lows in January 2023. Haven't looked back since. But why did we find that some altcoins popped up, but then really from like March to October, or maybe even like February, I want to say it's like March to October, you're talking about a good chunk of time, 6 months, 7 months, that all the altcoins just continue to bleed and they went sideways to down. Then boom, October comes and we get that dose of liquidity, and now a lot of these alts probably ain't going to see their bottom no more. So with that being said, some sideways chop ain't hurt nobody. Go ahead and grab some DCAs while you're at it. That's kind of what's on the menu for me, at least. So let's get into it. I really appreciate y'all for coming through and really sharing this journey with me as we educate ourselves together on what it looks like to become a prudent, aggressive enough, but not someone that's foolish investor, and understanding how the process works. It's not as quick as everybody wants it to be, but it's definitely fulfilling if you stick with it through time. So let's go ahead and share some info. We're going to start here with the basics. Let's look and see what we got. So we got CoinGecko, and you guys already know Ethereum is what's on the menu currently. The ETF has excited some people. Now, when it comes to Ethereum really starting to grab some dominance through time, that is something that is looking to be more like the base case now. Like, a lot of people are like, Ethereum's just going to be down forever. No, this is like the normal rotation where on the later portions of the cycle, I would say maybe like that halfway point, Ethereum likes to go ahead, reclaim some of that dominance from BTC and be a leader within the space, especially with all the use case and all the different things that people can do on the Ethereum chain, all the L2s, all that stuff is really coming to life. So if we want to take a look and kind of check it out, what we can find is this. So Ethereum obviously having a day. But what have I done? I've kind of aggregated it already, but let's just go back to the basics. So let's go and just check out market cap. So Bitcoin still chilling at the previous all-time highs. Like, I think we're starting to get used to it. That's a really good feeling. That's a really good thing. That lets us know, hey, we don't have that topping pattern where we just consolidate up here for just so dang long. And we've already shown all this kind of all the on-chain data to show that, we're not at a topping pattern and we've got more to go in this bull run. But besides the fact of that, Ethereum having a nice week where we're really trying to get back to that $4,000 Ethereum. And thus we have some other coins attached to Ethereum that are also, reaping the benefits. So if we want to look at the last 7 days, of course, we're going to have Pepe. Pepe is the main meme coin on Ethereum. Once again, if you all have not jumped into the memes, Pepe is the one for Ethereum. Dog with hat is the one for Solana or Bonk, right? Those are going to be your runners for this cycle. I'm letting you guys know now. It doesn't have to be some serious, like crazy analysis. Meme coins don't really take too much analysis. Are enough people coincidentally thinking, hey, this thing has value? Do they like the community, right? All that stuff is going to go. And these three that I mentioned have already established themselves. But here's the thing. Very nice to see Uniswap have a nice week here. Really pop up with 46% gain. And once again, this is the first true DEX that we've been able to use. And they've improved through time. But, really, really putting an ode to, all right, self-custody. And then you can do your own bidding on a DEX. And, Mr. Donald Trump, Mr. Orange Man, he's even an advocate for this now. Like, crypto has literally been picked up as a political conversation. And why do you think all these things are getting pushed through with this ETF? Out of nowhere? It's not out of nowhere. Like, these things are meant to happen when people are trying to get things done politically. And that's fine, because if we benefit as people who are investors in crypto, that's all good with me. But Lido, so being able to get a little bit of yield on that Ethereum, up 50% in 7 days. Now, these two right here, I'm not going to. You guys got to jump in the Vaults of Crypto here. But Pendo and Ondo, I'll explain a little bit more on those. But jump in the Vaults of Crypto to see how these can be very beneficial for you to know all about and potentially want to really take a position there. But we'll move on. Bonk, right? So Aave. Aave is, once again, this is where you can go ahead, do some type of collateral moves. If you say, hey, I've got an asset, I want to get some type of liquidity to be able to use within the market. Aave's been here for a long time, worked for a long time, up 30%. So essentially, what are y'all seeing? Y'all seeing a lot of things attached to Ethereum, right? And we're talking about everything. So we're talking about the Mantle, staked Ethereum. Once again, Mantle, that has to do with the real world assets. This sector is something that you guys need to pay attention to. Amongst other things, Arbitrum. So Arbitrum is going to be the #1 layer 2 for Ethereum. So y'all are kind of seeing the sense, right, of this past week has been all about Ethereum and things attached to Ethereum. And big shout out to Metis. Let's actually pull that chart up, because I've been a big I'm not even gonna say at this point a fan. I am a holder, but I understand how this layer 2 has basically been able to benefit largely from Ethereum, and anything that Ethereum does, this is like your beta play. So your higher beta moves, this is going to move in lockstep with Ethereum, but it's going to move at a higher accelerated rate, and it's a L2, right? And so, really, this thing has had a nice time with a nice recovery from October, but just in general, over the last 14 days, up 40%, 38% in the last week, and on the year, 277%. So that's not too bad. So things attached to Ethereum looking really good. Now, another thing that is loosely attached but is trying to find another identity, obviously, is Pulsechain. And Richard Hart, I don't know if it's through him or people that have, talked to the right people, but we now have some action on TradingView. So here is the actual chart for Pulse. And if you guys want this, and the same thing, like I said, PHEX, PulseX, and the incentive token, I've got them all. I've already shared them all in the vault. And this is a beautiful thing because now we could really do some serious TA and use all of our tools because, there's only a certain amount of things you can do on Deck Screener, y'all. So this is really nice to see with this being on TradingView. So let's segue. Let's talk Pulse really quick. So Pulsechain, L1 with a large following. A lot of the Hexicans have transitioned over from Hex into the Pulsechain ecosystem. Of course, myself being both a Pulsechain and a Hexican. But with that being said, very divisive antics, very uncongruent in mindset and emotional stability within the community of Hex and Pulsechain. And there are a lot of people that got into the sacrifice that are, one, first of all, are not long-term investors, but two, they simply don't understand what it looks like to have a bearish period in a market. So when Pulsechain came out, where all the alts, they're still in bear mode, right? And only until this point in October 2023 did we have some real true life for the altcoins across the market. So what we have to understand is this. People that don't understand, they're going to be the ones that are going to be having that moment 5 years from now, 3 years from now, like, dang it, man, I had my chance and I messed up. A lot of these people are locking in losses. This is a beautiful thing. And as we kind of traverse back to lower pricing, these are the opportunities, right? Like we had this chance. We're talking about September, October of 2023. We're having another chance here in 2024. I don't know if we get it we're probably not going to get a chance like this in, I would say, maybe ever. So if you feel like you don't have good enough PulseX bags, Pulse bags, incentive token bags, PX bags, over the next 2 months is where you would want to think about making some decisions here for your portfolio. And the reason why that is simply because now that we know that Ethereum is not a security, we've passed that ETF. What does this mean? Everything attached to Ethereum, so all of these layer 2s and all this other cool stuff, and then also Pulsechain, which is essentially copied, same code with upgrades from Ethereum. This is a beautiful thing because now Richard Hart has a really, really good standing against the SEC in this whole case. Same thing with Coinbase. Coinbase is going to murder the SEC in their case. They already are. The SEC has already lost in a lot of these proceedings in court. So with people starting to really let that soak in, people are like, oh, snap. And imagine if Richard does another stream again. Man, I'm getting excited now. So with that being said, you guys have to learn how to see the stuff before it happens, be months ahead of time, and take the action when you see it in front of you. Now we can really see it very well here on TradingView. And so things are not going to be crazy for too much longer when it comes to this downtrend for Pulsechain. Once the summer comes, general liquidity across all markets continue to rise. The presidential election, people talk about, the presidential election is important, is it not? Y'all are seeing in real time how the presidential election could really start to affect many different aspects of investing, economy, and stuff like that. So now that we have all this technology, we can all zoom in and see it. Donald Trump saying what he said in terms of saying I'm not gonna let Elizabeth Warren and her crazy army get a hold of your Bitcoin, and I'm all for self custody. He just basically gave a whole thumbs up to crypto and DeFi. That's the way I see it. And then at the same time, it's just now we got to find the best stuff, the best DeFi, the best everything, within crypto, which we've been doing this research for years. And so now it's oh, guess what? Now the floodgates can slowly start to open. The other thing here, so FIT, was it 21? They're actually really trying to get some good legislation for crypto here in the U.S. So all this stuff happening between FIT 21, President Donald Trump saying what he said about crypto, giving it the thumbs up to an extent, and also with the tweet. We have the Ethereum ETF, right? These are all some of the most bullish catalyst. And once again, what helps altcoins run are going to be the actual liquidity. And then so the other piece to all of this whole thing, as we've been tracking and paying attention to all this stuff, are these interest rates. Liquidity can expand when people can refinance at a lower rate. when they could refinance at a lower rate on whatever debt that they need to roll over. Now they have more options, okay? And generally they're going to have more cash flows and capital to be able to use with their businesses or corporations, whatever the case is. And then now when you have the job, like hedge funds, sovereign wealth fund, insurance company, when you have the job to place capital and it's expanded, you're going to find yourself into the best performing parts of the stock market, technology being the best part of the stock market currently. I mean, it's even outpacing energy and all these things, right? Defensive stocks. But now you want to find the best parts of technology, which we find crypto is continuing to prove that it's just really good technology first and foremost. But now once Ethereum can now be pitched to some of these guys here that have that suit on that can make the decisions, it's going to be an exciting time once the ETF for Ethereum, even if it only gets 10 to 15 or 20% of the Bitcoin flows. It's still going to be a very net positive thing for all the things that are higher beta than Ethereum. So that's going to be Pulsechain. Pulsechain is going to be the highest beta. And it works. And that's the best part of it. Now it's all about, continued promotion from the crew, which is everybody that's involved in the ecosystem. And also Richard himself. If he does a stream, if he's able to do that once his lawsuit is dropped, then hey, things are going to be looking really, really good. So that's why I got, if y'all notice, that's why I got the green. That's for the Pulsechain. That's why I got the green here in the background. So let's get back to the chart really quick and let's talk about this. So as of right now, we can easily see how we have a descending wedge. Now, this wedge is coming off of a very nice high for Pulse, where we basically, just got about double the sack rate. Now that we've dwindled down a nice amount. So we've dwindled down, from this local high, a nice amount. That's like a little mini bear market, 75%. So what we can extrapolate now is okay, now where are people positioned? So all of the late people, and it's beautiful because we had some streams, during this time talking about this. And so we can now double up. There's a reason when I talk about certain things and why. I don't like to talk about things after they've pumped like crazy. I like to talk about it when it makes sense to really focus on stuff, when they present a good value, if you all have noticed, right? And so in general, now is when we start to get into that value range again, like this cluster of price action that we had for Pulse in August of 2023 up until January. There's a lot of people, moving around, trying to get a good cost basis. Some people losing out on these downtrends, but nonetheless, we have an upward trend on the scale of the beginning of this move for Pulse. So you have two different cohorts of people that are involved. Cohort number 1 and then cohort number 2. These are the late people that are like, man, I want to make a whole bunch of quick bucks. And then a lot of these people, generally, they're going to realize, oh, snap, you know what? It's not going up 2x, 5x right now, and it's actually keeping my cost base or I'm losing money. They're the first ones to sell. And then we should be finding a little bit of support as we go lower. And so now the key thing is this, is not to try to pick up us the exact price. This line right here is the only time I'm going to buy. Learn to trickle in, scale into positions. I'm already scaling into Pulse and PulseX. So with that being said, scale into a position may be equitable. Now with this thing, as we trend, what we want to do is be able to see if we can make a higher high at some point. If y'all have noticed, this thing has basically printed a whole bunch of, lower highs and lower lows. So you have the local high, and then, you just have lower highs, unfortunately. But fortunately, if you want to buy, and lower lows this whole time, so y'all can kind of see that, and we're, printing a lower low. So once you get exposed, I'm just like, okay, let me nibble. But then at some point you want to say, okay, let me be a little bit more strategic. Let me see if there's a reversal. And so what's helpful to look at trend is the Heikin-Nashi candles. Okay. Now the Volta Crypto, we have very, very proprietary, very useful tools. And so one of them, and it's really like my favorite, the one that I first created for the group, is a Heikin-Nashi trend reversal. And then so let's go ahead and throw that on really quick. The Hatter. Let's do this one here. Okay. And so this is giving us some decent information here, right? Now that we become an asset, so Pulsechain is below the 100-day moving average, we can really start to see, okay, it's having some long-winded down draws, a little bit of stability, and then it kind of keeps dumping. But one thing that is nice to see is that, this is starting to trend a little bit more sideways. So I don't know if you can tell the small variation versus, the period before. So like this, and let me actually go ahead and delete this triangle. So that, believe it or not, looks different than this action here, right? As you kind of see, it's starting to stall out and go a little bit more sideways. So a lot more chop and a lot more, okay, are we holding? Are we holding? Are we holding? No, and we broke it. And then so the key thing is, like, we want to look for some more stability on the next move, right? So if we want to continue to go down, okay, cool. We're looking for that green candle. So Heikin-Ashi trend reversal does a really good job of pinpointing, okay, cool, we have a change in trend, and we'll get a buy signal coming up in due time here, probably within the next week or so. And so the best thing about it, you can set that alert. So it's a beautiful thing. Now, as we kind of look, I want to show you guys some things here, because a lot of people are like, oh man, what do I do? Like, understanding, like, where is a coin at in its price chart? Like, this is a very young asset still. It's not even a whole year old. Or is it? Wait a second. Getting close, right? Did we just eclipse a year? I know we're getting close, but it hasn't had a full bear market, right? It's had half of a bear market, and it hasn't had a full bull market either. So with that being said, I want to kind of show you guys some things. So let's pull up another indicator that we have here. This is going to be the moving average web. So one thing that this helps us understand is momentum once again, but we're really looking at the faster moving averages. So we have a different array of moving averages, and it tells us a story. When you have all of the moving averages curling down, that lets you know solidified you're in a downward trend. Now, the fastest moving averages that we have is going to be this red line here, okay? Now, when you see this pierce through all of the other moving averages, the slower moving averages, the higher and longer time duration moving averages, the moment that we break through, and I want to say this is the 250-day moving average, this is like that green light. So, okay, yeah, like we're like in full bear mode. Value is actually starting to present itself, okay, on the daily chart. But then the key is, what you want to look for is you want to be able to say, okay, at what point can we start to break the fasting moving average? And when you see the faster moving average start to break, and you see price go above it, and you see this moving average start to curl up. So let me kind of give you all a visualization of what that looks like. So you start to see this moving average potentially go like something like this, and this is not gonna 100% happen in this way, but you see this moving average start to go like this, right? Boom. And then you see all these other moving averages kind of coming down, whatever the case may be. For example, that's letting you know, okay, now we're reversing. So this is telling us a story. So this is not going to be popping off tomorrow. It's not at that point. What we can see is, but it's brewing up. The more that this is going sideways, and the moment that we can get price to eclipse this first fastest moving average, and then you get that first moving average to go up and through the rest, then that's when you have positive price development. And so this is key to know. It's going to be very helpful. And then when you have the faster moving averages back on top, like how it is, that's how you know you're in bull mode. So really good tool to use. This tells me a lot, and it tells me we have time to accumulate. You don't have to rush to this currently because we still haven't eclipsed the faster moving average. So that's a good sign. Now, with that being said, let's also look at the fear and greed. So we can actually look at the fear and greed currently for Pulse. And let's actually condense that down. So the fear and greed is telling us that people do not want this asset. You want to buy in the fear and, be a little bit more cautious in the greed. So basically from January 2024 up until March, first quarter of the year, very bullish. Quarter number 2, very bearish. But really, once again, since April, so we're talking about a month and a half, we've been in that like, okay, value starting to present itself mode. And we've been extremely low on the fear and greed metric. Like, we're extremely low. This is lower than low. This metric is between 80 and 20. And this is at, golly, not even at 1. So letting you know, people don't want this thing. But understand that there's liquidity here on Pulsex, right? The ecosystem is growing. It works. And nonetheless, understand that when people find out that if this case is dropped against Richard Hart, you already know how the green candles can come in. So I want to show you guys an example of what that looks like, of seeing a coin that has an uptrend, but then it has a long duration of just like, hey, what the heck is going on? Is this thing even alive? Like poking it with the stick. And actually, let's actually take a look. So like what we've experienced is a long duration where we have 80 days, so just almost 3 months of a drawdown with 75% reduction in price. Now, that's not the best situation, but if you're a buyer up here, but it is good if you're an accumulator through time, you're loving stuff like this because it gives you another chance. So I want to kind of bring you guys over to this. So Pulsex and Pulse have very similar charts, okay? So this is the Pulsex chart, which as you can see, and let's actually put this on the daily really quick. So this is the Pulsex chart, okay? Same thing as y'all can kind of tell, just long duration of down draw. I want to show you guys, but once again, like let's talk about where is it at from the lows now. Like this thing ain't no grouch. Like we have significant movement. We have a 10x off the lows, and that's a process that happened in 6 months. So that's not bad. Now, with that being said, this has had the downtrend. We're starting to slowly go a little bit more choppy sideways, which is really good. You're going to see these cohort of buyers most likely start to defend their cost basis up in here. Now, I want to kind of show you guys that this is not out of the regular. What I have here on this other side, I don't know if y'all know charts or, if you guys have done a lot of canvassing around. I look at probably hundreds of coins every single week. Now, this coin, I've known about for a long time. This is VRA, okay? So on the right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you guys the price movements and show you how similar that these price movements are for these assets. And so what I have is going to be able to track it on the day with these crosshairs. So let's actually go through and discuss how similar these moves are. So if y'all can look, the crosshairs on both charts, you guys can see that we have some local lows. And so that's for VRA and for Pulsex. In the middle part of the September, we have a nice jolt of liquidity. So it comes around that same time where, VRA is a little bit first more ahead of Pulsechain, but then after that, Pulsex, came to really play as well with a large group of liquidity coming in to pump that price up. So you see that same exact move on both charts. Then you have a little down draw. So down draw here, down draw here. You have continuation up through in October and November. So once again, continuation through October, November. Then you tail off, right? So then you tail off. And now here's the thing. We had some very bullish news early in January of 2024, right? And then that's what sent Pulsex screaming before some other coins. But nonetheless, you have price momentum going higher, right? So as now this starts to still go up higher, but it's not so expansive as this previous week here. You now see that expansion in liquidity for something like VRA. You can see it tops out at the same exact area in their chart, right? The construction is the same, but we're talking about the same exact date. And then it's been in a long bearish phase too, right? Coming up on support, right? It's coming up on support. So now let me actually go through and show you the full chart of VRA to let you know, hey, this is not out of the ordinary. This is just stuff that just happens. And with that being said, because we talked about Pulsex doing a 10x off the low. So let's bring up VRA. What does something like VRA do? And once again, VRA tracks Bitcoin very, very closely as well. Now, the only divergence with VRA is just this period here compared to Bitcoin. Like, that's one thing to know and understand. but thus the general chart mimics the chart for Bitcoin. So off the low, PulseX did 10x. Now this is still nice. VRA does a 6x off the low. So, and this is a coin that you're like, dang, the returns here are good, right? Especially if you do a Fibonacci. So if we do a Fibonacci expansion and we just do some moderate numbers, so that next leg up past the previous all-time high, that would have us at 13-cent VRA. So let's kind of log that. So just for example, if we have the price today and just go to somewhere moderate, even like, if some people may be like, oh, am I too late to get gains? No, like something like VRA, you could still cop basically a 25x, which is great, you know? So the question is, what can something like Pulsechain do if it's basically mimicking or very similar to a coin that is very sensitive to liquidity? Pulsechain and PulseX is very sensitive to liquidity as well, but it's going to be a higher beta, okay? So the key thing is, now that Ethereum is going to start to take some of this dominance, y'all really, really be ready for some price movement, okay? Like really be ready for it if Ethereum is going to win like how it's supposed to. And so the beautiful thing is, check out this coin here in the last cycle. So this coin has already been through a bull market and a bear market. You see this, all this chop, this can be very frustrating. And what this does, this actually reminds me of kind of where we're at with Pulse and Pulsechain, or I'm sorry, Pulse and PulseX and Ink and all that stuff. Where this time period where it's like, okay, cool, we kind of come, yay, we're in the money. Oh, down draw. Yeah, we're in the money. Oh, down draw. Like the part that I'm really, really feeling that we're in is a time period like this, where it's like we've just had just a long period of time where we're like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't understand. Like, is this thing dead? And even these people here, they would have been like, man, this thing is just straddling, you know, because at this point, we're talking like December of 2020 going into January 2021. Bitcoin is rocking and rolling, y'all. So I could definitely understand how people can get frustrated. But here's the thing. When you have an altcoin that is highly sensitive to liquidity, you have these moves that can happen in a short duration of time. So if we just go from this time of January 2021, we don't even got to go to the later peak in November, but you can go to this first peak here. Cycle 1, you have something that was able to lock in 126x in a standpoint of about 100 days, y'all. So understand this. When altcoin season comes, the highest beta, low liquidity type coins, for example, Pulse and PulseX, they're going to run stronger than the rest. So even if it looks like this and you're just like, oh man, what's going on? Don't fret. Don't mess up. Don't sell half of what you got and try to find something else that's already traded and broken out of its structure. Stay true to just good stuff, because this is what happens. You can be the beneficiary versus trying to flop over to some other coin. Like, you know, not saying that some people are doing this, like flopping over to like Fetch AI that's already done like 15, 20x, you know, and continuing to make higher highs every single week, it seems like. So, you know, because the gains are tremendously lower if you're, for example, trying to swap over to a coin that's already broken out of its structure, you know? So just kind of simulating that thought process in your mind. These are things that we gotta to look at and really understand. So let's see. Any questions? Okay, so on my metric, I have a strong buy in the daily for Pulse. Yeah, like I've been seeing it with the Hatter for like the past like 3 weeks or so. So, you know, what we want to see is a buy on like the 3-day. That'll really give us a really good indicator too. What's good? What's good? We got Art in the group, in the chat. What it do? Let's see. Hey, Swerve, how do you think the OA will affect us when it comes to decentralization? Gensler has said no one entity can hold more than 20% of supply. Now, keywords. No one entity, right, can hold more than 20% of supply. Now, think about that. Richard Hart, crypto in general. You got to understand you cannot prove who holds what, right? I mean, he doesn't even live in the U.S. Jesus. Like, you got to understand. So with that being said, yes, there may be an OA that has a significant amount of coins, whatever the case may be. But the thing is that decentralization is talked about in many different ways, and their way of trying to look and see if something is sufficiently decentralized. Understand, they said the same thing about Ethereum, but then it just all went out the window like a few days ago. So I'm really like this whole aspect of things not being sufficiently decentralized, I think is a whole bunch of Fed speak, and I'm sorry, not Fed speak, SEC speak, and a lot of people just trying to find ways to slow things down. I think Pulse is sufficiently decentralized because of the huge validator set, and understanding that just because somebody has a lot of coins doesn't mean that they control everything, right? Understand that's very, 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 very key. There's a lot like Bitcoin. A large amount of the wealth in Bitcoin is, we're talking within the hands of how many wallets? Maybe like 1,000. So 1,000 wallets control 15 to 20% of Bitcoin. And these are ginormous whales, like BlackRock included. So yeah, they can miss me with all that. I think things will be fine when it comes to Pulsechain. But once again, I want to come and show you guys an aspect of a coin that tracks very well with Pulsechain, with the market, that has outsized returns in this first cycle, that had a very, very long period of nothingness. Like we're talking about from January of 2020 to effectively February of 2021. So a year and 2 months, 14 months of like, what the heck? And then popped out and showed up. So this is what it's all about, understanding what it's all about. And if you don't understand what it's all about, then you're not getting it. So once again, it's having a long, and this, little bit of TA on VRA while we're at it. Us having a long accumulation period as well, before it pops out, and things get going when liquidity increases. Now we can track that, just briefly. Let me pop on the global liquidity on a 90-day oscillation. Same thing. We could also see like what's the risk. Like even so, if you were like buying VRA today, we have the risk assessment. So you'd be at a low risk buying VRA today. And so generally that's going to stay true when the fear and greed is also this low as well. But what I want to kind of pivot and talk about briefly, I want y'all to notice is I have this other indicator. Let me go back to it, that I've created that really helps us on a 90-day rolling basis. How's liquidity doing? And, it's starting to trend back up. So, coming back from like late April, going into the month of May, we're seeing some improvement on liquidity on a rolling 90-day basis. We'd like to see this continue up higher. And that'll be a nice thing to see, right, on a 90-day basis. And because we've seen the lows happen, like this is like liquidity draining. We're talking, a lot of, 2021 and 2022. In January of 2023 is when we got Bitcoin popping off. But the broader markets, we're talking about the SP 500 and NASDAQ, they bottom out in October of 2022. So we have a light jolt in liquidity to get us started. What we want to see is a nice expansion. Just like how we drain liquidity, we want to see an expansion of liquidity on a 90-day basis, which we can get that when we go down on interest rates. And so that's a beautiful thing that we're on the precipice of. And yeah, I really can't wait for that part. Now, what I also want to do is look at this ratio here. I want to bring this to your attention. So for everybody that understands DeFi, and you may be partaking in some yield on PulseX over here. So for example, they have pools on PulseX where you can go through and get yield if you understand impermanent loss and liquidity pairing. And so I would say one pool that is actually looking pretty juicy and nice that did not make sense before, in my opinion, because of impermanent loss, it looks a little bit more stable, and it's looking to really have some good correlation is the incentive token and the Pulsechain token. So what we can do now, finally, on TradingView, I can look at this ratio, not on Dex Screener, and be able to apply some things to it. So what we have here is the ratio, the Pulsechain to incentive token ratio. Now, there's a moment in time where Pulsechain is killing incentive token. So it's outpacing the incentive token by quite a lot, it's outpacing it like 3-1. And then the incentive token says, hold my beer. And, when this goes down, this means incentive token is either holding up or outpacing against Pulsechain. But finally, once we get to, April, we found a local low, and then we've really been sideways. So that's what you want when you're doing any type of yield plays where you have to pair two coins together. You want to see very low volatility, meaning that they're staying tightly correlated. Like this is a small, we're talking, 17%, boom, 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 kind of straddling back and forth. This is nice to see, right? So, I think if it stays in this range for another month or two or however long, that's very cool. That's very good, because during that time while we're sideways, not much volatility, you can go ahead and earn more incentive token through that time, because both of them are going to go up as these years go on. And so what does that look like? That looks like you coming over here and getting 40% on that pairing with the less impermanent loss, and if you kind of lean over to one side more than the other, both of them are still good coins to hold. So this is a good thing to think about. Just wanted to not financial advice, but I talk about a lot of the things that I'm looking into and things that I'm actively doing. I don't y'all ain't got to follow me, but understanding things are helpful when you can look at the data and make the moves when you need to. So there's that. Okay, so let's segue and bring this thing home. So let's talk about some things here in terms of DeFi. So we can come over to DeFi Llama, and let me think about this. How do I want to start with this? We can see that there has been an expansion in the participation in DeFi ever since this moment here in, what is this? Yeah, October of 2023. So, and somebody that I know knows the charts and knows his ways around DeFi, like, Art, yeah, 100%. It's been money. And it's been even more money, very consistent money since April. So with that being said, DeFi is a sector within cryptocurrency that is getting some attention and it's really popping off. Now, not every coin in crypto is. Coins that have DeFi ecosystem built around them are. So we're back at just about $1.7 billion of TVL within DeFi. And this is including all the sectors. We're talking everything, Now, we had an all-time high of about 175. So we're getting close. We're about 60% of the way there. Or maybe a little bit past it. I'm sorry. Maybe 65% of the way there and getting back to all-time highs. But you already know in this new cycle, we're going to expand past that, So, having if we were really looking at where this can go, with 178 billion being the all-time high last time, I don't see 600 to 800 billion being too crazy. I really don't. So with that being said, the expansion of capital is going to help push high beta, aka things that are not in the top 10, not in the top 20 when it comes to crypto. It's going to help push these things faster, and that's what we want. So as we kind of scroll through, once again, Ethereum leading the way with Lido. A lot of people coming over to do the liquid staking. That's 35 billion. That's literally a third of all of DeFi is just people coming to liquid stake their Ethereum. So understand why this Ethereum ETF is so important is because think about it. Okay, cool. In the documents, these firms so BlackRock, Fidelity, they weren't allowed to go through with staking the Ethereum themselves. But you already know their clients are going to be okay, here's another asset. Okay, it's number 2. within crypto. Okay, let's give it a try. The next conversation is saying, okay, what's an easy way for me to get some type of yield on this? And believe it or not, there's going to be custodians, which there already are custodians, that are going to be saying, hey, guess what? We can go ahead and BlackRock can't do it for you, but you can give your Ethereum to us. Maybe banks, maybe Wells Fargo, right? And let us stake it for you, right? At the bank. So these institutions ain't playing, y'all. Like if y'all thought that the institutions were like, yeah, it's just talking, like, no, they're not playing. They're actually really buying this stuff up, and they're actually creating infrastructure to really stay here for a while, So here's the opportunity, you guys. Like it may not be this good of an opportunity next cycle to be able to really get some forever profit type positions and cost bases. So, once again, things attached to Ethereum really having a nice change, like a 7-day change. Let me see. Yeah, a nice 7-day change in TVL. And so things like Uniswap, Rocket Pool, obviously up 25% over the last 7 days, and Aave up about 20%. So this is good. Now, let's talk about this in particular. So, first of all, Michael Saylor, very smart, intelligent guy. There is no second best. But technically, if you want to talk about when it comes to making money as an investor or being able to have a nice balance sheet as a company, like how he has, and trying to say, okay, cool, I'm going to leverage the success of my company, use that collateral, some non-convertible type things that he can do over there to be able to get access to more Bitcoin at very low interest rates that he has to pay back over 5 years, not even 1%. But anyways, this is the crazy thing. So right now he has 214,246 BTC through MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has been the play. Like if you go and look at the MicroStrategy chart, it outpaces a lot of the top 10 coins outside of Solana in crypto. Like it's outpacing Bitcoin and Ethereum, the MicroStrategy. So these institutional players are just buying that instead of just going straight to crypto. That's going to change in due time, where they just go straight to the assets, right? But here's the thing. So he's invested 7.5 billion bucks and currently is sitting at like 14 billion. Did you know if he would have bought Ethereum instead, he'd now have 18 billion? So with that being said, there is something that's better. It's called Ethereum. Yes, I know you've got a lot of money. Yes, I know you talk very loudly, but just from the basics, which I'm talking about is a fact, if you would have chose Ethereum to be this is the thing that I'm going to hold on to and take me into Foreverland, you would be doing better, right? Because better technology. That's just key. But that's just funny to me, man. It's pretty cool to see that, like his gains. And if you would, okay, look. If he was staking it, because he could stake Ethereum. You can't stake Bitcoin. He'd have $20 billion. Man, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. So with that being said, there's benefits to having Ethereum. And that supply, I did a stream not too long ago talking about Ethereum on, Sound Money? What is ultrasound.money is the website name, where, same thing, the fundamentals and dynamics of Ethereum has not changed. And so that's the beautiful thing. Same thing for Pulsechain. It has not changed. So we're in good shape. But yeah, at 4%, just from staking, he would have got another 180. No, that's $1.8 billion, right? That's beautiful. Like, so anyways, outside of that, I wanted to come and talk about, and I'm going to briefly touch this topic, and then we'll finish up for the day. I want to talk about the different sectors that we may want to continue to pay a little bit more attention to. So over this time from, and we're going to use like mid 2023 to be our benchmark and Bitcoin to be our benchmark. So how's Bitcoin performed since that time period? So basically a year from today, or a year ago from today. Bitcoin has gone up 60% year to date. A year ago, it's gone up 160%, which is pretty good. So with that being said, what are the aspects or what are the sectors that are outperforming it? As you can see, Bitcoin here in orange, that's kind of like it's on the upper half here. There's only two other areas, other parts of, you know, crypto in general that are outpacing. And so it's going to go as follows. Number one is going to be world assets, RWAs. And that's outpacing Bitcoin very nicely. Look at this gap. It's very nice. And it's increasing. Especially like you can really start to see this increase once we get to like February of 2024. So we're in the first couple months of this expansion here, right? Now, it's up to you guys to go ahead and learn a little bit more about this sector. If you want help with that, if you want to start to really see this trend before people start to see it 6-8 months from now, think about hopping in the vault. It's really easy. It takes a day to get you situated and you're off, you know. But this is an expansion to notice compared to everything else because, yeah, you know, meme coins, of course, are having a really nice time outpacing BTC as a sector, about 253%. But everything else, like we're talking, you know, layer 2s, DeFi, smart contracts, they're still just kind of just doing okay compared to the expansion on Bitcoin. So that's something to think about and use to your advantage. And the key thing is this: understand the season. So are we in Bitcoin season or altcoin season? I like looking at this on all three scales, and so we can look at this on the monthly, and then we could also look on this on the yearly. So, you know, let's just go to the monthly first. We're at 37 out of like 100. So leaning a little bit more towards the Bitcoin month, where basically we're saying, okay, you know, Bitcoin still is taking in a lot of the liquidity. Not as many coins are outpacing it on a monthly basis. And so with that being said, accumulating altcoins during Bitcoin season tends to be a good time. Because same thing, if you go to October 2023, we had that big jolt, boom, because this is what you see. This is the round trip that I talk about, where you go from the bottom of the metric to the top. So we have, since this bull market, you know, this isn't quite a full round trip. It only gets up, you know, about 3/4 of the way. But you have one round trip in June of 2023 all the way to the top. So that's a lot of liquidity going into the altcoins. And then you had another one here in October 2023. We just kind of had that a little bit, you know, here in early May, but then we popped back down very quickly. So what is it that you want to do? What you got to do with the ratio is you have to think about accumulating while it's in Bitcoin month, while the altcoins are not outpacing Bitcoin, and be a part of this movement, already holding these coins when we do that round trip and go to the top point and get to like altcoin month and all that stuff. So like here, and then here. Now we can look at that once more on, is it Bitcoin year or altcoin year? And this kind of gives you a little bit more context on the longer term outlook, where, for example, yeah, like it's altcoin season going into obviously the peaks. And the key thing is, like, once again, altcoin season did not really get into it. Like you had that burst up off of COVID. Then September to the end of the year was like altcoins just chilled out. And then they turned back on once we got to early 2021, right? Chilled out for the summer low and then really ramped up again in late 2021 going into early 2022. As you can see, they've been depressed and they've been consolidating for a very long time. We haven't even gotten close to really receiving these gains. So this is nothing that y'all can go and look at like and say, hey, like, should I maybe think about taking a little bit of profit? Like if you've invested anything while this has been in Bitcoin year from like 2023 and early 2024, even now, it's still a decent time. We haven't had that big like shot up, right? When we get there, 75, 80, 85, 90, maybe think about saying, hey, let me take a little something, right? Maybe take your cost basis and then let the rest ride. It's up to you. But it's about being in position before that happens. So we still got opportunity with that being the case. All right. So I'm going to give you guys a gift. Okay. So this is a gift. This is going to be something that I can guarantee I don't like giving guarantees. I don't want to give nobody a guarantee. I feel very strongly about nobody on YouTube is going to share this with you. But have you guys ever wanted to see, hey, how does BlackRock really move? How does Fidelity really move, like in real time? Y'all come on over. So I'm going to put this in the chat. And this is going to basically give you guys the in real time, in real time action of when these large players are actually buying what they buy. So let's refresh the page. So for example, in the last 40 minutes or so, we see Fidelity. What did they do? They bought Bitcoin. They bought 97 million, 183 million, 59 million. And so this is while the ETFs are not trading, okay? What this is going to do once Bitcoin, let me phrase it like this. So once the stock market opens up on Tuesday, so because tomorrow's a holiday, you may notice that the Bitcoin price is going to be higher spot because all this is getting settled while the market is not open. When it opens, that price is going to adjust, and then we're going to see it, on Coinbase and all the places where you can track it, that's not on a, not watching the stock market, right? And so this is nice because guess what? Over the, and this is as of Friday, so we were to see these kind of come in, but this is beautiful because you can watch these companies in real time do their stuff, okay? And so use this to your advantage, right? Very, very helpful. And I'll do a little canvassing around, but you could look up a lot of people, funds, exchanges, and see what everybody's doing. And you can see this stuff like on-chain when it happens. Like you can see just now things going on. Let's look at BlackRock, for example. So BlackRock, the boys pushing everything through, getting that Ethereum ETF for us. BlackRock. Click on these guys. So currently they're holding like $19 billion in Bitcoin. They hold the most Bitcoin out of all institutions, eclipsing Grayscale. And so what we can see here is they have an expansion in what they're doing. They really had a really nice accumulation period in February and March. They've tailored and trickled down here through like late March and April, but it seems that we're starting to get a nice spike back up ever since really the mid of May. Like we want to see this continue on. But the interesting thing is, did y'all know that they hold other stuff? And so we can see what they hold. They have a nice position of USDC. They have about $85 million. Now, that's nothing to their billions, but it's still good to see, okay, they're actually, how do they get the USDC, right? They have to deal with Coinbase. Coinbase is a custodian for a lot of these ETFs. Right now, USDC is based upon the Ethereum blockchain, not Bitcoins. Another thought. So there, I have no clue what coin this is, Kali, but they have 136K of it. So very interesting. Their P&L is we're seeing that they really got in some really, really good profit as of last week. So that's very nice. See this big, large green candle? That's profit for them. And then so what we can see is we can track this in real time. They haven't done anything in the last day, but 2 days ago, they bought $8 million of BTC. So this is 120, not as much, but they had a nice clip of, what is this? So 600 BTC. But here's the thing. They're trying to build a fund, right? So understand what's going on here. You see like a lot of these Bitcoin emblems, right? You notice that? You see just 2 Ethereum emblems. What's going on here? Denoshi.eth. BlackRock. Fund. What is this? Click on it. Figure it out, right? And now you can start to get into the weeds and see, hey, what is going on here? And so, yes, they do have a fund, right? And the fact is this, right? They're trying to put together a group of coins in their fund that are going to represent essentially we're talking meme coins, we're talking all kind of stuff. So they want to offer this. It's not just Ethereum. They have funds, they're really, really trying to expand on crypto. And once again, Real world assets, Ondo Finance, right? They've got some things going on over there where they're making movements for this fund. So understand, if Larry Fink is involved, if BlackRock is involved, you may want to take a look and see how are they going about it, and see if you can see some type of trend, some type of thing that might be beneficial for you as a sole investor. Because yes, that's the best part about crypto. You can get access to it. You ain't got to go through no stock exchange and, you know, an advisor. You just do it yourself once you learn what to look at and how to get there. So that's some alpha for you guys with this site. Definitely use it and let me know. But we'll be talking about a lot of this stuff in the next couple of weeks here in the vault. And if y'all want to be a part of that conversation and see what can be beneficial for you, hop on in. Come to thevaultofcrypto.com. Into the vault. It's worth it. It is worth it. And I think that you'll be happy with the outcome that you'll have if you stick with it through time. And we're talking a year, 2 years, X, Y, and Z. Okay. So definitely hop on in. Let me actually just put the direct link. Give me about 24 hours to be able to, you know, get you into the Telegram and everything situated and all that kind of stuff. But you know, I'll be reaching out through email once you do subscribe, and give you all the tools on TradingView as well. And we can actually now finally use them on Pulsechain. So happy about that. So here's another boom link for y'all if you guys are looking to get in the action and really step your game up in knowledge. That's key. Okay. So cool. Thank y'all for coming through. A beautiful stream. I recently have a presentation in the vault of getting the annual quarterly appreciation rates. So we're looking at, I did a stream on the CAGR. So looking at the annual rate of growth for, we use an example of Ethereum. Now, some coins have not been out that long, so it's a little bit harder of a read. So we want to do a quarterly look. I just put all that information into the vault, and so everybody's in there. They're already benefiting from it, being able to get a really good analyzation on coins that have been through a bull market before. They've been through a bear market. Now they've shown some life. They're outpacing Ethereum, and they're growing at a faster rate. And these are all coins like they're in like the top 70. So really good information in there. If y'all want some of that, once again, y'all could subscribe and jump on in. So appreciate y'all for coming through. If y'all have any questions, hit me up in the comments. If you guys want a consultation by myself personally, I'm on Twitter, very easy to find, and hit me up in the DMs. So with that being said, I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.